Now let's get into it on the other side.
Man, what's up? Hey, I gotta turn on the light. Like it's crazy. It didn't look like that until I started it, and I'm all dark and stuff. How are we doing today? Hey, listen, before we get into this guest, which I'm really excited for, by the way. I always say that, and I am always excited, but today I'm super excited. You'll know why once I do the intro and all that stuff and bring them on. But before I do, little notes, right? So, Military Creator Con is coming to you April 16th to 18th, Hilton, Arlington, Texas. So, listen, if you're a veteran content creator, author, whatever, if you're a creator of any type and you want to attend this event, it's going to be phenomenal. I look forward to seeing you there. It's something that's been in the making for quite a while, and we're really proud of it and looking forward to it. So again, 16 to 18 April. I hope you're there. But let's move on to bigger and better things, because today we have with us a super duper, like, I'm a fan, right? So that's a different thing. Like, I'm not a fan of everybody. I'm a fan of this guy, and I'm gonna read the intro. Like, I don't normally read intros, but I want to make sure I hit everything. But before I read the intro, this is a special thing for me specifically because this young man and I used to work together back in the day. He was in the Air Force, I was in the Army. He's from Buffalo, I'm from Buffalo. Go Bills! All the good stuff. And when he came in, instantly, like, there was a connection because like he's different than me, right? I'm extroverted to the 4.6 billionth, right? And he's very quiet, and but he's brilliant, and he takes his time, and when he makes a decision, it's the right one. I mean, he's phenomenal. But let me do this introduction the proper way, right? So Ryan Williams Sr. is a seasoned cybersecurity leader and storyteller. By day, he serves as a principal technology and risk management professional in the financial services sector, driving second line of defense to LOD efforts to safeguard complex enterprise systems. By night, he leads RAM Cyber Consulting and Assessments LLC as founder and CEO, delivered tailored services such as RMF readiness, policy development, and I think it's VCISO. Virtually, I get it, right? Leadership, right? Beyond consulting, Ryan is the author of On the Other Side of the Firewall, this book right here, grab it, and hosted a podcast by the same name where he amplifies underrepresented voices in the cybersecurity, including people of color, women, veterans, neurodivergent professionals, and career switchers, advancing the conversation towards a more inclusive and resilient future in tech. Listen, I don't know if you're excited as I am right now, but this guy has been doing it all. And before he transitioned, he started to want to do podcasts, and he and I talked, launched it, and he's killing. Let's bring him on because I could talk all day about it. There he is, Ryan Williams Sr. What's up, brother? How are you doing?
What's going on? Go Bills,
Go
first and
Bills, right?
foremost.
That was the best part of the intro, right? I mean, all the good stuff you're doing, but the Go Bills part. I mean, we're only a couple of days away from seeing a wonderful season, hopefully.
Right.
So how you doing, young man?
I'm doing well. So, hey, thank you for the intro. I greatly appreciate it. I'm super excited to be on your podcast, right? It was the inspiration of my podcast. And then, the book and what have you. So it's definitely coming full circle. So I greatly appreciate it.
Well, I was talking to a friend of ours the other day, and we were just talking about people who do things and people that talk about doing things. And it's interesting because you're not a talker of doing things. You do things. I do not believe in anything. I mean, we met for the first time, what, 15, 16, 15, I think, right?
Yeah,
But,
2015.
yeah. And what's crazy is it's 10 years. And every single thing that you've said you're going to do or even put out there in the universe that you may do, you've done it, and you've done it exceptionally well. So it's just, I mean, it's really awesome to see the doers of the world. I mean, I talk about a lot of stuff. I don't always do it. Like, I always find an excuse to not do it because, I don't know, there's ice cream shop and I'll go to the ice cream shop, but you just get it done. And I applaud that. I think it's phenomenal. And you're not even there yet. Right. And what I mean by that is, and we'll get into your career. We'll talk about kind of what you went through in the transition, where you were, and what that looked like. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. But I think what's phenomenal is you had an amazing career, and you have set the groundwork for an amazing after career, right? And it's just beginning, and I'm super excited. That's why I said in the introduction, I'm a fan, because, like I said, You said you were going to do a podcast. You did a podcast. You said you were going to write a book. You wrote a book. And I'm watching you. Oh, by the way, you said you're going to open up a business. You open a business. You're doing great things. And let's get into all of those great things. So for the listeners, right? Because like I seem to know a lot of stuff, not everything, and I'm going to learn some stuff today. But let's talk a little bit about entry into the Air Force. What made you want to leave the wonderful city of Buffalo, New York, to join the military, and then kind of let's walk through your career a bit up to the transition point. It's on you, buddy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, Jeff. So I'm from Buffalo, New York. So born and raised in the Kensington townhomes, so AKA Langfield Kensington projects. That's kind of like the origin story, right? So, hardworking mother, hardworking grandmother. My mother's an Army veteran, and that was kind of like I was never with her when she was in her time in the military, right? She was at Fort Dix and Fort Drum before she came back home. So her career was like maybe 3, 4 years. But I grew up looking at the uniforms in the closet and picking up the Army Field Manual and reading through that and what have you. So I go through life. Excuse me. High school is when I'm kind of introduced to computers and networking, but what really spurred it was I was going to, I was in community college, so ECC, grades terrible. I'm working full time, working overtime, trying to go to school full time. So I was like, you know what? I'll join the military because I got to get out of here because I'm tired of the snow. I want to do something, right? Be part of something bigger than myself. But B, it was college, right? I was taking in college. I was like, well, I need a reset, right? I can see the world. I can go to school, and they'll pay for it. So I'm all about that. So uh, my mom was like, "Sure, you can join the military, but I want you to go to the army. I'm sorry, the Air Force recruiter first." So I talked to the Air Force recruiter. He did the thing where you need us, we don't need you, right? So he kept pushing me off. He was saying, go next door. We're good. We don't need anybody, and that just made me want to join even more. So he got me. He got me good.
Got
But
him.
it was for the best, right? I came in open electronics. I wound up going cyber transport. At the time, it was data maintenance. So there was a whole lot of merging in the early 2000s. That was like 2003. Uh, learning data maintenance, hardware, soldering boards, things of that nature, telephone systems. And then it started to merge with networking. So I learned the trade of switching and routing, and then had a bunch of amazing assignments. So I was at Mountain Home Air Force Base. My first assignment in Idaho. Did not know where Idaho was on the map. So, but great. It was super isolated. Me, my wife. Yeah, we were high school sweethearts, so brought her to Idaho with me, like her introduction
I'm sure she
to the,
was
to the Air
very
Force.
comfortable. She said,
Oh
"Hey,
man,
we're out of Buffalo. Let's go to Idaho." Yes, thank
right. That's how I know she truly loved me, right? She came to
you.
Idaho. But it was isolated. The camaraderie was super high. I got to learn the trade. And then from Idaho, went to Iraq for a tour. While I was on my tour, I found out I was going to Alaska. So I made it out of Mortaritaville, right? in in Iraq. Made it to Alaska. That's why I really got to hone my switching routing. I set up the confocal point, so the help desk. That's where I really learned, you know, identity access management, how to provision accounts, how to talk to clients and users, because that's a whole skill in itself, right? Building those soft skills, and then long haul circuits and all that good stuff. So became a real networking guy, right? From there, I went to Virginia. So I went to Langley Air Force Base, where I worked at the 83rd Network Operations Center. So think of the Air Force global and global command, C2, all that good stuff, where we were in charge of 120 locations, over 500 devices in the boundary. And that's where I really cut my teeth, got my CCNA, and worked they call it enterprise control. So I worked the floor, working all the base boundaries and stuff like that, getting super technical. Then my boss, really cool guy, Jeremy Jackson, he got promoted. So they're like, he has to go somewhere else. So guess what? You're next in line. So that took over. I had 33 airmen, 14 contractors, all these locations. I was in charge of standardization. So real trial by fire, survived it. And then I was like, I want to do something even cooler, right? So I saw an ad for JCSE, so Joint Communication Support Element. It just spoke to me, right? Come an all around communicator, you get to see the world because I had seen a lot of the states, but I had not been overseas yet, except for Iraq. And the only thing was it was like you had to run 3 miles a day, and I was like, I don't run 3 miles a day. So I started, practicing running and what have you. I signed the up for the assignment. Actually got it, shipped off. I think that was November of 2015. Got to McDill Air Force Base in Florida, where I still live here in Wesley Chapel, and loved it. It was the best assignment in the entire military. Right, working
It's
for
because I
three-letter
was there.
agencies.
I think it's because I was there. I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
It made it amplified it, right? But worked for three-letter agencies, Department of State, special operations, SOCOM and CENTCOM were my primary customers. I was a Europe and Africa guy, which meant I worked for you, right? And like, so slight tangent. The Army, like I love all the branches, but the Army is the funniest because the Army is like, we have rules, and we will bend those how we see fit, right? So like in the Air Force, you know where you're going, you check in, and you go there. A sergeant major in the Army will pick you out of the parking lot and be like, you belong to me now. Like regardless of who has your mind now. So it was very similar to what Jeff did. We had a briefing where we had to introduce ourselves. I'd let him know, I let everybody know I was from Buffalo. Then I saw his eyes light up. And then I think I was headed to like third, which was like CENTCOM. So thank God. I was like, I'm tired of the desert.
Mhm.
And he was like, you're coming with me. And then that was it. That was the next 5 years of my life. And I loved it. I learned so much, satellite communications, radios, how to lead, how to manage, how to inspire. And I learned it from all the services. So it was great being able to lead different service members, being able to follow different service members. I met some lifelong mentors like Jeff, and I had a huge impression on my career. I got my CSSP. I finished my master's in cyber and information assurance, PMP, CEH. Like I was racking up the certifications, and I was getting amazing experience. And then adding people to my Rolodex, right? As I traveled the world, Europe, Africa, I got to live in Sicily, got to live in Germany. Amazing. And then COVID hit at the end of my last year there, so everything kind of shut down. And then Air Force in its infinite wisdom sent me to Turkey, and that's where I decided to retire and end my career. Don't regret anything. I loved it. Turkey was cool too, but it was 2 years bachelor, right? So I was like, I got to go home.
I miss the wife. I miss the kids. I want to get
Right.
to reality. And oh, by the way, I mean, but I think in one regard, right? Listening to your, I mean, it's amazing. I think what I loved about the progression of your career is I see a little bit of me in there, except for you went a real technical route and you took advantage of the technical things, right? And oh, by the way, I mean, you dove into them. But as you consider the growth, from first assignment to last assignment, you started talking
Mhm.
about the people and the managing or the leading of, and it's really interesting how you develop over time. And I, like I said in the introduction, you and I are very polar opposite personalities, right? But how well we gelled. I mean, I don't want to say we always gelled well. I'm going to tell a story real quick, right? Like I remember, like here's the deal: like Ryan doesn't complain. Like he don't complain a lot. He might complain in his head. He might complain to his wife. He might complain somewhere else. But there's no complaints. And no matter the running of 3 miles or the sand and the beach and the dragon and the low crawl and the high, all the things, right? Like there's pictures that, and I wish I had them to pop up so you guys to see. This guy is just getting beat down, and I'm like, I think he really would prefer the Air Force at this point, right? But the level of professionalism you brought to a place, right? And that's why it was simple. There was a Buffalo connection when you were talking, right? But I listened to you speak. That's what we do it for, right? When we have these conversations, you introduce yourself. Are you confident? Are you competent? Are you capable? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to lead? All those things kind of came out. And of course, when I want to let you know, I just did what was done to me when I got to JCSC back in long time ago in 2007. I was supposed to be in third. I was in third for 3 days, and then Sergeant Major Werner who was the J3 sergeant major at the time, in the parking lot said, "Oh, you just got off the trail. You were a drill sergeant. You're coming to work for me. I need a director of tactical training." And I said, "Yeah, nah, sergeant major. I'm over in third." And he's like, "I'm a sergeant major, and you're not in third. You're
Right.
that's kind of what happened to me. So I just wanted to share the love. But I found the right person to do that with. Obviously, it turned out well for me because as a leader, I got someone that was willing to be led, and you were willing to do the work to one, bring a technical proficiency that was going to be unmatched, and we could send you anywhere, and we knew it was a fire and forget situation. You're going to be fine. We also got someone that really wanted to lead and really wanted to step up to be that person that other people could look up to and inspire. And so therefore it was like a 2-for-1. I got a great technician, but I got a guy who's already there, but he's ambitious to be further. And you've shown that not just with your professionalism through the time, but also with your the master's degree and the education of all the things you wanted to cast a wide net. You took advantage of all opportunities that were given to you, and not everybody does that. So it was always a kudos to you because you were a willing participant in the learning of life, right, and of your craft, and it was just great. So I remember in Turkey, though it was difficult for you personally being away from the family. I mean, I know you were on the computer talking to them all the time, right? But we actually
Right.
had a couple opportunities to have conversation as you were starting to walk the transition path, as you were starting to talk about starting a podcast. We sat there for many a day having those type of conversations. When you decided it was time, what were some of the things that went through your mind as far as, well, what's next? How do I position myself from where I'm at today in this Air Force uniform in the middle of Turkey to actually removing myself from the uniform, getting back to be acquainted with my family, going through the transition, which oftentimes is stressful for folks. And it's not always just about employment, it's about the reinculcation of a family dynamic that maybe we were.
Right.
Oh, by the way, that was a little bit more difficult for you because you were already separated, where a lot of folks were in the same house, and that transition becomes a little challenging because there's a lot of pressure for us as the service member to still be able to provide the same lifestyle that we've provided for the last 20 plus years or even 5 years, depending on how long. What was that thought process for you, and what did you do to kind of get yourself situated to be able to knock that ball out the park when it was time?
So the prep was much easier than the execution. I'll definitely say that. So knowing so as soon as I arrived in Turkey, it was a situation where it was like they are on like real lockdown, not like Florida lockdown. It was like you will go straight from the terminal to your hotel room. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Please let us know if you need food. That was it. So while I was there, honestly, it was the beginning of a lot of anxiety for me to begin with, right? Because I'm used to being by myself in hotel rooms because we did a lot of that in JCSE, but it was the not knowing anybody, right? Like not having that lifeline. So uh, I decided like, okay, I'm going to reach out to friends like yourself, like Shannon, like Levon, um, and in doing so, it's kind of where the idea came from. It was like, okay, I need to talk to people, and then our conversations would sometimes get technical, sometimes be funny, and I was like, this could be a podcast. Like we could do something with this. So we started audio first, and it really was just me hanging out with friends. So I didn't go crazy because like the only time I got to see people was like I got to walk out of my room and wave at people. And that was it, because they were like seriously, like Turkey was like, you will not mingle, you will not bring that here, for the best. So in doing so, it was like the catalyst to starting the podcast. And then when I started the podcast and started to talk to people who had already gone through the transition, I found out like the military is a melting pot. You have people of all types, right? Men, women, different orientations, different demographics. Like you get the full breadth of people. When I talk to my friends that were out there, they're like, "You're going to be potentially a one of one in a room, right? Like, there's not a lot of veterans in these spaces. There's not a lot of people of color in these spaces. You will, have to find your tribe when you get out here." So in my mind, I was like, "Well, I don't want to wait till I get there because again, anxiety." So I was like, "I want to build my network before I get there," and that's when I was like, "Oh, LinkedIn's a thing," and how to experiment with that. I'm on YouTube University, right? Trying to figure out like how to build my network. I'm talking to you about your network, which you're rebuilding. You're like, I got a bunch of friends, but they're fake friends. I want new friends, like real friends. So I'm going through all of that rigmarole and kind of like building again. I'll build out my Rolodex, and in doing so, it made me feel better, right? Because I felt like I was preparing myself. I was looking, for people who are in the industry. What are they doing? What are you doing, to maintain your certifications? What did you not have when you transitioned that you wish you had? So I'm getting to ask these questions, and I think it's good for the audience, but really it's good for me. So it's like it's a cheat code, right? Like I'm getting all this good experience, which has evolved over the years with the podcast. I'm talking to people who are in, even much more in different spaces that I initially was in, right? Like people who've started their own businesses, people who have, they're in Fortune 500 companies, 100 companies, things of that nature. But at the time, it really was just about building kind of like that network to hopefully cushion myself when it was time. Unfortunately, my timing was great for family, but my time was not great for the market. So me and you talked like I had to connect with you to get in the 4 block to do a reboot basically. So I went in, I had my skill bridge with an organization, found out that they were not gonna to bring me on because of the time. So no fault of their own, but it felt like I was spinning my wheels. Like I'm doing all this um performing for you to try to net the job and you're not going to hire me, so I need to go and meet some new people. And it was great to be able to sync up with you and go to 4 block and make that happen. And then building my network some more, polishing some more, getting to know about these companies. But again, I came out thinking like, okay, here's my top 5 companies we're going to apply for, and those were the top 5 companies that were laying people off. And when the terminal kicked in, and I was on those last few checks, that's okay. Panic is setting in again.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's the whole getting used to my family again. 2 years is a long time. I was home for maybe 77 days out of the 2 years, because I had to save up terminal leave, right? I want to make sure that buffer. And the travel from Turkey to home was like a 31, 32 hour door to door type situation. So it was rough to go back and forth. So I did it 3 times, but I was spending more time traveling than I was with my family. So again, I wanted to save that time for them. And so just getting used to the family again. Again, 2 years is a long time. My daughter was going into her senior year of high school, right? So I missed pretty much the middle for high school. I missed all of junior, like Ryan Junior's middle school. I didn't. I went to his middle school to drop something off, and my wife had to show me where the middle school was at because I had never been there. I didn't even know where the middle school was, right? And then my youngest had started kindergarten during COVID, so he was going into first grade. So it was a lot of me relearning them and them relearning me. And I used the resources, right? One source. I did the VA counseling, things of that nature, to make sure I was the best me I could be in reintegration. I don't think a lot of people talk about that because again, my anxiety was like through the roof because of all these things were happening. So I went and sought help, and it was the greatest thing ever. So never be afraid to ask for counseling or to
Yeah,
use VA
I want
services.
to stop you there for a second, only because
Yeah,
this is the type of person you are, and which is what I made mention of as a doer, right? And the fact that resources exist, they're just, I don't want to say they're not talked about. It just goes on a deaf ear sometimes because I think that people in general, I think it's human nature to feel like I got this. I mean, like I'm a
yeah,
man, I got this. I'll make it work. But the reality of it all is, how often do we make that specific situation work? I mean, how often are we gone for 2 years? We miss the things and think that we could just walk back in and everything is the same as it was when we left. And
right,
I think a lot of times we feel that way, but life still happens. Things are happening at home. There's emotional days. There's achievements that are missed, but those things all happen. And when you're away, you feel bad, but you think that like you don't understand how they feel, so therefore you
right,
just walk back in and like, okay, I missed it, sorry guys, but I'm back, and that should suffice. The fact that you came back and you did those things to be able to reintegrate at home, and that it was done as a family unit. I mean, obviously, I mean, I know a lot of your situation just from being a friend and understanding how you are with your family, and I love it. I mean, it's admirable, and I love the fact that you make time for them all the time, right? And I try to do the same based on in my situation, right? I was working to be the best army guy I could be, and I don't want to say my family played second fiddle, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of obligation that I had to the military, and they wanted it, and I wasn't upset to give it to them. I mean, I
right,
just did it. But what did I miss because of that? So since leaving, and I have I always say I have 2 sets of children. They're all 4 are mine. but I had the two older ones that were with me through my military career, and I've got the two younger ones that really have zero idea that I even was in the military. And the
Right.
older ones get mad at the younger ones because they're jealous because I wish dad was like that when he. But the reality is life is different. But it's still, and I'm glad my children are old enough to have those conversations too, because we are very very blunt, clear, and honest in our conversations now because we can have them. So they understand where I was, they understand where I am, and they always will understand where they are in my life, right? And that's, I mean, that's never changed. But I really do appreciate you mentioning the resources that exist for us to use in order to make that transition easy. Because not the military transition, although that's
Mhm.
there are resources there too. I'm talking about just the reintegration because the reality is it's not easy. We just like to pretend it is and we'll just make things up as we go, and that's not always the best solution. That's why, I think on a show I was on a couple weeks back, about a month ago, we talked about the level of divorce rate after service, right? Not during, but after. And why is that? I mean, I'm sure there's a myriad of reasons, but I'm sure that there could probably be a study to talk about why, because
Oh
there's a lot
yeah.
of stresses, right? And but I'm glad you took the steps to ensure that you were making those. That's important, man. That's huge. And that's not just about employment, where a lot of people talk transition, they talk employment. That's
Right.
a piece, but it's not everything. So good on you. But yeah, so anyway, going back, I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off to move because I really enjoyed what you were talking about. But so you get back integrated with the family, and you're in a good situation now, right? Um, what from that point, where I mean, all of the market sucks at that point, and I remember those times specifically for you because of course there was concern, right? That you talk about anxiety, but you're the provider of the home. You're the man.
Right.
You got to do these things, and all these options that once seemed very possible, feasible, and plausible are no longer real options. So where do you go from there?
So it's a little bit like being humbled, right? Like, because I try to be a humble person, because like whenever I get like quote unquote braggadocious, I get punched right in the face by, by life, right? So it's taught me like just chill.
Mm,
So but you still talk a good game when you're thinking about getting out of the military. Like, "Oh, I'm going to make so much more money. We're going to be set. We're not going to. I'm going to have both my time and my money back. Like all of this stuff that we're doing beforehand, all this sacrifice is going to lead to this." And then you go to apply for jobs. I had a spreadsheet, right? So I made this Excel spreadsheet because I was I was sometimes applying for the same job again because it was just in a different a different like monster versus dice versus like these different systems. So I wanted to make sure that I got the rec straight, and I didn't wasn't reapplying and spinning my wheels. So by the time I got done with my Excel spreadsheet, I had 150 jobs on it that I had applied for, and then I would change the colors depending on like, okay, this is one that I just applied for. This is one where it's the notice is flipped, right? Saying they're reviewing, like quote unquote reviewing, right? The ATS system. I still don't trust them. And then these are the ones that just flat out said no. And I would keep tabs of these so I can just keep reapplying, right? And then it wasn't until 151. So it was again making that connection where I met with Steve Haley to apply for a job. He's a Marine veteran who is director of cybersecurity over at a data privacy and security company. So that was my foot in the door. After all this applying, I had like maybe 5 phone screenings, 2 interviews, one one lunch. They took me to the BX food court,
yes. I
wine and
mean,
dine me, right? Um, for contract work. But I really like I wasn't opposed to doing government contract work. I was like, that's my gonna be my go-to. I was opposed to the commute. I remembered like when I was in Turkey, my commute was 12 minutes because we all lived on base. It was a very small community. The base was your city basically. But I remember the Tampa traffic, you're gonna be in traffic for like 2 hours. Um, at least like I guess round trip would be like 3 hours, right? Between getting to where you need to go and getting back. And I was like, I really don't want to have to deal with that anymore if I could help it. So I saw he had posted a remote job for to be a cybersecurity consultant and an assessor. And I was like, okay, well, I have experience. I've worked with, these different teams in information assurance. I got Wing IG under my belt. I got, um, QA, standing eval, all these different things. So, I filled out the job rec, application, I put in my resume, and he called me back only because he was able to decipher some of it. Even though I've been through TAP and I knew, to make things more civilianized and what have you, it still was a bunch of jargon, right? So it wasn't helping me. So when I sat down and had a conversation with him, we talked for like 45 minutes. He was like, "This is a great conversation. I want to move you on to the next round. But by the way, your resume is terrible." Like that, what we just talked about was not on your resume, at least not in a way that I could appreciate and hire you right out. So my bosses want to talk to you. So they flew me out to Georgia, and I went and talked to them. And what got my foot in the door was, again, his conversation, but I had to take on even more responsibility, right? So you're going to be full-time consultant, but you're going to be part-time project manager for us as well, because we have to make sure you know what you're talking about. Um, I did that for almost a year. Again, amazing job. But I had to transition out of it because it was like 60 plus hours a week. Like I felt as though I was home, but I wasn't home with my family, right? I was just sitting here at this, little office as my family walked around me. So I was like, okay, I gotta do something different. And then you and I talked about it, and I decided to make that pivot, to another contracting situation. But this time I was working for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which full circle, right? I grew up in public housing, and I get to secure public housing. So I was like, this is just going to be great. So I had an interview. I told them about my background, and then I tried to wow them with my experience and what have you, and they hired me, and again that was a foot in the door situation. Again, my network helped me out. It was Chris Jones, right? So another mentor and lifelong friend from JCSE. He was my chief when I was there, and he was able to say, "Hey, let's get him in for an interview, and then he'll take it from there." So I learned that your network is vastly more important than your resume. You can have all the certs and pretty bullets and all the other good stuff, but what it's really about is making a network of people who are able to actually engage, and they have some kind of hiring authority, or they know someone who has hiring authority.
Yeah.
Like you can have, I think I have like 7,000 connections on LinkedIn, which is great, and I love giving them information, and I love sharing my story with them. But when it's time to make a phone call, like when I'm on layoff street, I'm calling Jeff, Chris, and Winnie. That's my top three, right? So
Yeah.
so people who are actively in my life and can help me out, and hopefully I can do the same for them.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
and they advocate for you in such a way, and I don't think. Look, I don't know, right? I mean, I don't get to review 4,000 resumes, and then I don't get to know those 4,000 people, right? At all. I think, for the most part, someone can do the job. I really believe that. I mean, out of 4,000, I mean, depending on what the job is. I mean, if you're
right,
if you're a doctor or a surgeon, and you've got like cybersecurity professionals applying, they can't do the job. Like that, I think we can understand
right,
that. But for a basic job, like there's 40 million like project managers like active in the world, right? That's a lot of project managers, right? But at the end of the day, are they all great? No. I mean, are they good? Maybe, right? But there's some that are great. But I think that the reality is that you need someone not just to say to someone to give them confidence, can they do the job? Yes, they can do the job. Cool. But what do they bring to the team? How do they engage within the team? Can they get along with them? Are they
right.
willing to do? And I think when you have someone that can vouch for you or advocate for you in that manner, and then of course say that you can do the job, that matters too, right? I mean, obviously, don't want to say, yeah, he can't do stuff. He doesn't know anything about the job, but he's a really good dude. That's not going to fly either, because a company needs to make money or earn money or whatever the case may be. But having that confidence that your network can reach out and say, listen, not only is this guy A1, number one, top grade at the position you want, but he brings so much more to the team. And you have someone like that, of course, it makes your network. I mean, your network becomes much more loud than
Right.
the words written on your resume, right?
No, absolutely. And then, I really enjoyed the work I was doing for HUD, but unfortunately, again, the world is doing its thing, right? So Doge walked in on a Tuesday, and then I was like, oh, the following Monday, it was like this contract is gone.
No,
So again, I'm back out on the market, and again, my network stepped in, right? So. Um, Chris was able to make a phone call to one of his really good friends who I happened to have met in Germany when I was working for JCSE, right? So my current boss, a retired chief, as well. And again, it's getting your foot in the door to have the interview. So I interviewed with him, of course, but then I had 3 more interviews after that. It's a Fortune 500 company, a financial institution. So pled my case, submitted a much better resume, but still you have to, talk the talk and then show your body of work. And was able to secure the job. And now I am technology principal, right? And technology risk management. And what that really means is like, so financial institutions, because of, this highly regulated field, they have several lines of defense. So your first line is attached to the business unit, right? They write sidecar with them. Then you have second line, which is what I am. I'm oversight of first line. And then you have third line, which is audit, which stops it from hopefully getting to the outside of the bank, which then will be, regulators. So your whole job is to stop the bank from, doing something it shouldn't be doing, or fixing a process that's broken. So my team does it horizontally across the enterprise, where we look at the risk resiliency. So I'm looking at business continuity, I'm looking at disaster preparedness, service continuity, cloud environment, payment networks, things of that nature, from a cybersecurity lens. And love it, like loving the job. Um, and it gives me more. Again, I'm at home, I'm working with I'm able to do my job and still interact with my family. So it's again, I can't be more happier with the transition. But there was, some friction points getting to this point. I'm sure in the future, things change, right? So there may be more friction points, but it's that network. Right? I
Well,
have a network, and makes you feel a little bit more secure.
I agree with that. Well, one, I want to say, I think what you just said was a lot, but the thing that I really take from it, and I've learned throughout the time, is there's more than one place for a cybersecurity person, right? I think that a lot of times, with certain jobs, you find that you're in a industry, some specific industry, and you talk about there's an IT industry, and a lot of people get that
Right.
confused and say, well, within the IT industry, and I'm a cybersecurity guy, I got to go find me an IT government contracting company. I have to go find me an IT, industry, or a company outside in the commercial sector. But the reality of it all is cybersecurity IT crosses every boundary. I don't
Right.
believe there's a single thing, a single industry, if you will, at this point in time that doesn't have a cyber concern, an IT related something, because everybody has the internet, everybody has the ability to be hacked and or taken advantage of, and so the cyber world is just wide open. And I think when I was transitioning myself, and I brought Floor Block to Tampa with Pete Bloom, and we started it, getting into these financial institutions to really understand where the cyber place falls. Where, I mean, it was just amazing for me, an eye opener to me, to say, man, you know, a guy like Ryan can pretty much, I don't want to say write his own check, because that's not true, but you don't have to stop at, like, if you're a construction worker, you're going to do construction work, and you're going to be in the construction industry. That's just the way it is. I mean, if you're a PM, you can cross industry, but if your knowledge of construction far outweighs your knowledge of
Right.
cyber, then you're probably going to end up being a project or program manager within the cyber world. Yes, it's transferable and you can move the paces, but you got to learn the language. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but cyber is cyber, and it's across everything. And I just think that it's great that you found your path to where you're at. I've heard, I have not experienced it, but I've heard that place in the financial world for a lot of cyber folks is exciting, exhilarating. um, it's a constant place for growth, because I mean, there are always protecting the financial institutions, because, well, it's money. It's your money. It's my money. It's their money. It's money, and
Right.
they don't want it to be, at risk. So no, that's pretty awesome. So uh, as we talk, and we've kind of walked through your transition and employment, even talking about some of your family stuff that kind of went along with it, which I think is equally as important, right, as anything. um, you got to the skill bridge program. I think that there's problems with it, but I think they're trying to fix them. And so, obviously the idea of skill bridge is phenomenal. From an ideological phase, execution isn't always there, because the company that's supposed to hire you are supposed to have an opportunity to hire you, but not all do. They get work out of you, and then, and I'm not saying it negatively. Like, I don't mean like this company used you and now sent you on your way. But the reality is, they're supposed to have some type of career path for you. And I think the good thing is they give you a little bit of taste of what's out there, but then they also can open doors for other conversations. But that was a struggle for you, and I remember those conversations. Um, and as you go through to get to where you're at now, there was an idea of a book. There was an idea
Right.
of a business, right? And you kind of did a bunch of stuff. So I want to kind of get into the book a little bit. I want you to tell me the idea behind it. I got it. There's a cool picture of him. It even looks like him right there, right here. No, it's good stuff. But tell me about the book, and what was the motivation behind doing it, and and what was the motivation of putting me in it? Because I'm in the book. I'm in the book. Everyone, you should get
He's
it.
in the book. The man, the legend is in the book.
Right.
Um, Really, it kind of all came together. It's kind of like that movie Slumdog Millionaire, right? Like as they're going through and he's answering the questions, he has like a life experience that talks to it. So I have the podcast. We have over 800 episodes. It was a daily podcast, and we kind of trimmed it down to a weekly because we're syndicated on the radio, and it's hard to make 5 episodes a week. A job, a family, start your own business. It's a lot
Yeah.
going on. So now we're down to an hour a week, which that's what we're doing anyway. We're just spreading it out over days.
Mhm.
Um, but it was about trying to make sure that I repurpose my content with meaningful purpose, right? So like my whole thing was I'm doing all these things. I have hours of talking to people. It's great for me. It's great for the for our audience. Our audience is growing, right? So we have we at the time when we started on the radio, we had 300 subscribers that were like engaging, right? Because you could have a million, but only 300 gonna engage with, right? So I have 300 engaged subscribers. It was great. I reached like the radio reached out to me. We started talking, what have you. The last Nielsen number said 15,000 listeners. Tuesdays 5 p.m. Atlanta metro area, right? 99.1 FM. Not plug-in over here, but
Yeah.
getting it out.
Plug it in. Plug it in. It's good. I love it.
But so I was like, man, that's great. Again, but I was like, there's going to be an audience of people who don't listen to your podcast, who don't listen to the radio, like we're on channel 10 in the Fairfax, DC area, right? Public access as well, who don't watch public access in that area, that could really benefit from these people's stories, right? Like, because again, uh, things have gotten better, but I think only it's either 24 or 25% of cyber security professionals are female, right? Like women make up over half the population. Only a quarter of them are in this field. Uh, uh, Black Americans, 9%, growing to I think we're in the double digits now. Hispanic people, less than 20%. Like the stats are just not representative of the people. So I'm just like, when I talk to people, like if I go to a conference and I'm able to if I'm on a panel or something like that, you talk to people in the audience, younger people who want to get into cybersecurity, but they just they don't see themselves, right? And there's a lot to be said about that. Like representation does matter. Like even though people are like, you can still make it, hard work, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but it does help to see yourself in someone else, right? It's definitely a great motivation. So I was like, I need to get this into other people's hands. So I was like, how do I turn this material into a book? And in my head, I'm thinking like Stephen King, like how do I make a story out of it and all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
uh, then I was like, well, why don't I just, not necessarily, use the same, not just write transcripts in the book, but how do I repackage it so it has, again, meaningful purpose. So that's when again, fate would have it. Elizabeth, she's a three-time bestseller, New York Times bestseller. I'm gonna mess up her last name. It's like Libo. I can never pronounce it right, but her book is one of her books is I Came to Slay. So she was doing because she has her own company. She was doing a like introduction into writing. So she was like, I'll help you from thought to put it on page. I'll help you write your book. And she built a curriculum out of it, right? Of course, she's also a journalist, so she was like, "This is how I write. I'm going to teach you how the basic structure, and then I'm going to counsel you, right? You get an hour a week or what have you, as on top of the curriculum." So I signed up for it. Like I was like, Ram has a little bit of money, so I cut a Ram check, sent it to her, and I had my first session. I was already locked in. She was like, like we're talking, and she found out I was a PMP. She was like, "Oh, I'm a PM as well." She was like, "Have you thought about doing it like a project, right? Like you know you know what you want to talk about, like select the categories, then select the people, break those into chapters, and then once you have your middle and your end, now you can write your intro because you know what you talked about. So now you can introduce what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and it just clicked. And like legitimately, like 4.5 years of talking to people, I was able to write the book in 7 months. And two of that was just learning how to distribute it, right? Because I was talking to her about publishing with the big four or what have you, and she was like, I've done that. It's great. It'll get your name out there. You can do it yourself. She was like, if you do a little bit of research, you just like even if you just put on Amazon KDP, uh, you can do it yourself. So you can choose to shop it, or you can just push forward. And I'm a person who's like I'd rather control my own fate. So I again went to YouTube University, did my research, and now we're available almost everywhere books are sold. Right, so we're in the big ones: Barnes and Noble, obviously Amazon. You can find us on like Walmart.com and a bunch of other retail spots. Like so, we're in places that I sell it myself through the
Nice.
website.
So for you that are listening and not watching the video, so some of y'all can see the book and some of y'all can just hear us talking about the book. The other side of the firewall, Ryan Williams Sr. Grab the book, support him. So what's interesting about what you said, Ryan, about the book, about what your mindset is, the percentage of women, of people of color, and all that
Mhm.
stuff. I got to tell you. So obviously, being an IT guy, I am nowhere near the like. If someone was to be sitting here talking to you and I, and they were to both put us in the IT world, I'd slowly dip out. I'm not having any conversations about real IT stuff because I haven't pushed a button in forever. I was a radio guy, and then it made me into an IT guy somehow. But what I do know to be true is from when I joined the military in 1997, right? That's when I came in. Throughout my time, I know that within my career field, there was definitely an underrepresentation of everything you made mention. Yes, there was the onesies, twosies, of all of those things, whether it be women, whether it be women of color, or people of color. It doesn't matter. All of it. There was always a majority of people who looked like me, right? And I will tell you, I had been to conferences. I have seen senior women leaders that I find to be amazing in our career field. It was senior Black American, all of it. I've seen it, but not in an abundance, right? And I've been to conferences to where there's cyber conversations, and I see who's represented on those panels for the most part. I see who's represented in the crowd. About 2 years ago, Tampa brought a initiative from Tallahassee. There was a great cyber thing that they did, and we got to sponsor it. We got to be there, and what was really great is that it was students across the board from all of the Hillsborough County. For all you that are
Okay.
listening, that's Tampa's largest county. There's a couple other counties, but Hillsborough is the largest. They're going to expand it to past Hillsborough, which is great. But I was super excited to see the students because you want to talk about half and half or whatever. When you look at a 5% and that jumps up to 38% or 50%, because there was plenty of young women, plenty of people of color, both women and men, just
Awesome.
everything. It was phenomenal. And to see that was exciting because no joke, just so happened to have had a conversation only a few days before about statistics. Someone was telling me this stuff, and I'm just listening, and I'm not arguing. I'm like, no, I get it. I see it. I understand it. But then to go only a few days later to actually see who the crowd was, it
Right.
was great. But who are the people walking the room to instruct? Who are the people there to give guidance? Who are the people there that they were looking up to? Well, again, very much back to the proportion that you spoke about. So what we've been able to do is to urge people that are in our industries locally, because we have a very diverse group of folks that are representing IT organizations around Tampa and beyond. And we've urged a lot of those folks to kind of jump in, and whether that be women, women of color, people of color, it doesn't matter what it
Mhm.
is. What it matters is that representation is there to grow. And I'm telling you, the FCA local chapter does a great thing. Women in Defense do a great thing for the STEM programs here. It's phenomenal what we're doing. So, in line with this mission from your podcast to the book, whether you're the pioneer of it, you are definitely a voice that is resonating within the people that you're touching, and there's
Appreciate that.
programs that are growing, and I love seeing that stuff, man. I could talk to you about representation mattering from my perspective, and I would have told you probably about 20 years ago, I'd be like, I don't get it, dude. But I do remember when I went to go see the Black Panther and just this. I mean, everybody's been looking like me. All the superheroes look like me, and you know, I don't mean it to. I mean, it is what it is, right? And I remember seeing these two young kids, man. If they weren't the most hypest kids I ever seen, because
Right.
a hero was them, you know what I mean? Because they posed as Superman before. I mean, not them specifically, but people in general. But to see that, man, I mean, that actually is probably the first time, and maybe I'm stupid or maybe I'm just not aware because my life has lived in a pattern, right? But to see that, man, that was so awesome. I actually took a picture with them. It was great. But anyway,
That's
uh,
awesome.
it was, man. I felt great for them, and I felt it made me feel good to be actually finally able to see some things that maybe aren't so just wide aware to me, right? But
Right.
now, so real quick, I want to make mention because you've talked about it a couple times. Ram Cyber, you slid into the entrepreneurial world a little bit. I'm gonna for all those folks that are watching, I'm gonna put this website up because I wanna make sure it's. I probably spelled it wrong because I'm like,
Nice photo, right?
that's right, huh?
That's right.
There
Yeah.
you
So
go. Tell me
the
about what
mhm.
you do with Ram Cyber. Who are you? Who is your customer base? Your target market? Who's calling you to ask you to help them to do whatever? Go ahead and bring that down for me real quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So RAM, I started. I think we're a year and 2 months now, right? So small. Uh, I'm working on all the badges right now. So disabled veteran, owned small business, 8A, all that good stuff. So it right now is I'm Army of One. It's me, but the RAM. It's kind of like the umbrella for all of the projects that I currently do, right? I'm trying to centralize it. So RAM stands for Ryan, Ayana, and Mason, right? So it's my three children. I wanted something to do with family, and that's why I baked it in there. And I was like, and it because it could have been ARM, right? It could have been it could have been some MAR, I don't know, but I was like, okay, this works, and the iconography is pretty cool as well. Leading the charge when it comes to cybersecurity is kind of like the motto. But it really is just again an amalgamation of what I've learned over the years, right? I can help you to build your policy. I can help you to baseline. I can do assessments. I can consult with you because I've had years of this experience both within the Department of Defense and outside of it. And I was like, okay, I want to take that what I've learned and what I can do with that and be able to push it to people who maybe don't want to go to I almost said a company name, but like the big four, right? When it comes to assessments.
Yeah.
Because you either can't afford it or they're going to just give you, like, not to say that they rubber stamp stuff, but they're more concerned about the bigger causes as opposed to the mom and pops and the smaller organizations that I'm targeting
Mhm.
when it comes to just making a baseline. Because I feel, and I believe a lot of people feel that cybersecurity is national security, right? Like every day you see social security numbers getting pushed out there, PII, PHI, like everybody's stuff is out there in the internet. So how do I subtract some of that stuff, and how do I protect myself from the stuff that's already out there? Because I know you're getting the SMS calls, I know you're getting the raggedy phone calls from either robocalls or from people from overseas. Like we're all being inundated with this stuff. It went from chainmail back in the day to now it's just like oversaturation of just people trying to steal your stuff, with scams and schemes and things of that nature. So I want to be able to provide those services to people and use my talents. But I believe holistically, we just have a lot going on when it comes to cybersecurity, and I think that also gives us the edge, right? So not only you getting a company that can perform these assessments for you, right? Like you want to do a CMMC level 1, or you want to prep for a level 2, you want to do a NIST CSF, or you just want to find out like where do I stand? Like how can I better secure what I currently have? We can do that, but we also are out there educating the community, right? We have this podcast that's been going on for 4.5 years, almost 5, that deals with these topics. Like every week, we're getting you 3 topics. Like this past week, we were talking about. I titled it "Gamers, Guides, and Governance." Right? We talked about how video game cheating is becoming more prevalent, and it's actually a moneymaker. Right? Cheating as a service is a thing. You can pay, I think upwards of $150 to $300 for an account to help you cheat, and these people are making $300K a month from providing cheat services, right? It does pay to do crime apparently until you get caught.
Yeah.
And then in the same episode, we're talking about how NIST is building a quick start guide for small businesses, right, to help you get your foot in the door to better secure yourself, because it's people are kind of like analysis paralysis right now. Like, how do I even get started? And that's kind of like what RAM provides as well. It's kind of like, okay, this is what you currently have, and this is how we can get you to better. Because you can't be perfect off the bat. Not even companies, not even trillion-dollar companies that we talk about on a weekly basis are perfect, right? They're always going through data breaches and things of that nature. Like, it's you deterring the bad guys, frustrating the bad guys, and then quickly recovering when the bad guys do strike. And then also you have I just built a chat GPT, right? So chat GPT is, a very large language model, very prevalent out there in the world. I built a bot on top of chat GPT where I call it ask me GRC, so governance risk compliance. So if you look for our moniker, the RAM moniker, that's us, right? So that's our GPT. There's a few out there, but it's not a general model where it's just like, I'm going to ask you a question, and then you know a bot will always want to answer you, whether it makes it up or it gives it to you, facts and what have you. So what I've done my best to do is to give it a body of knowledge that makes sense, right? It has all the current frameworks; they're all updated. It has guardrails to try to keep it in its lane, to keep it from hallucinating. It's giving you tier one, tier two stuff, right? So it's not replacing a consultant. It's allowing you to ask the questions and to be able to know where to go to next. And when you get to something that's above what it should be telling you, because once you get too high, you're asking to do assessments, stuff like that, it gets wonky. So you want a real person. So it's basically telling you what you need to ask someone in order to do these things for you, or where you can go to get the resources yourself. So it's tailored to that, and it gives career advice, right? It's trained also on my book. So if you want to ask it questions about, like, okay, this is what I currently have, or this is what I'm currently thinking about, how can I get to X, Y, or Z, it can point you into the direction of somebody's story, because I have 26 stories in the book, right? From my own origin story to veterans, to people who are going through the transition, career switchers, neurodivergent professionals, and women, all within cybersecurity. And it can kind of point you to one of those stories, or can give you some advice based upon what they did to break into cybersecurity. So it's called Ask Me GRC. You can get it through any of our web pages, or you go straight to the marketplace. But I want to embed it into the website. It's just I wanted to go in the beta first, so I put it out there to the world and said, "Hey, please break it. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, things of that nature, so I can get better."
That's outstanding. So, just for all you out there, people buy things from people they like, know, and trust. I've had that said to me a million times, especially by one of my mentors. And it's really easy to like, know, and trust you, Ryan. I'm honest to God.
Appreciate
So if
that.
you're looking for something, ramcyber.io, put IO, because if you put .com, you ain't going to find us. So
Mm-mm.
ramcyber.io. And just for you all to know, when this goes on, whatever platform, social media platform that I put it on, in the description, there will be a link to his podcast, a link to his book, and of course, this will be here. And if you're just listening to it from a podcast, on that description, that same information will be there, because you got to check it out. I mean, there's a lot of information that comes out, especially if you're interested in cyber. And oh, by the way, if you're not interested in cyber, that's cool too. But you might want to listen, because there's a lot of stuff they talk about that actually impacts you, and you may not understand what he's talking about. But just know he does know what he's talking about, and you might want to listen, because that's part of the thing, that maybe cyber isn't your thing, but the reality is like, I've had a new debit card like 7 times since January. I think 1111 is a horrible passcode to use. Just kidding, that's not true. But I have had multiple new credit cards or debit cards. But anyhow, so look, we're getting ready to wrap up, and the one thing that I ask for from everybody, right, is, I'm a clown a little bit. I like to be serious, and be serious when needs to be serious, but I also like to have fun, and kind of let my hair down. I mean, I'd love to let my hair down, but I can't, so I just let my beard grow. But I want to hear about a funny time, or you can't make this story up. It doesn't have to be funny. It just has to be something that, if the normal person that never served a day in the military was to hear, they'd be like, how do you guys live, or whatever the case would be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We have those stories, so I'd love to hear you can't make this type story up, as we.
Oh man, that's a good one. A story that you cannot make up. So So at JCSC, I think they have Guardians now, but at the time I was there, right, you had all the branches. It's an airborne unit. It's led by a different commander every so many years. I think during this time it was an Army commander. Obviously, I was in two Joint Communication Support, of the Joint Communication Support element. Uh, we had Marines, so we we have we had Marine Gilmore, hilarious dude. I think he's back in the area now, so I got to definitely meet up with for lunch.
Mhm.
So we're getting ready. I want to say I always get confused between Irma and Maria. I think Maria was the one that hit Puerto Rico. I want to say
I
could
think
be
so.
vice versa. But hurricane hit Puerto Rico. We're sending people, or we're preparing to send people, and what have you. And we're kind of figuring out where people are going to stay and what have you. And we have these elaborate plans of doing the planning. That part I always love to do because I was like, I want to hook people up as much as possible. We found out, okay, we put these people in a school, we put these people in a 5-star resort because it's going to be abandoned, and we put like trying to be nice. We put the Marines on resort. We're like, y'all live hard lives. We want to hook you up. We want to make sure that you guys are taken care of, and not that they're going to have fun, but that you at least have amenities while you do what you do, right? Uh, Everything goes out without a hitch. We send them out. We start getting back intel about where they're at and what they're doing. These people are on the beach. They decided that the hotel was too nice and it will make them soft. So they set up tents on the beach. Storm's gone, right? So like we're not worried about their safety or anything like that. But they found that to be nicer, which I mean it's kind of cool, but still, we gave you a 5-star resort that was going to take government rate
Yeah. Well,
because they needed help, and they will take whatever money they can take because everybody's gone, right? It's touristy place. They need the money, and you set up a tent on the beach, and you just see like they're sending back pictures. They're like playing in the sand. I'm like, ah.
yeah. Well, you'd have to know him to know. I mean, he's a special guy, and not negatively. I mean, he's a phenomenal human being, great dude, big as hell. I mean, I don't think I haven't seen him in real life in quite some time. He
Right.
is here. He actually has a really great gig, and he's doing good stuff. And I'll have to reach out to him. But yeah, he was never a small dude, right? I mean,
Yeah, you like a
he's
miniature rock,
yeah.
right? Because he's not tall, but he's diesel.
Oh, he's a bulldog. He is literally like the marine, right? I mean, that's the guy. But no, that's hilarious, man. Because I remember the time. I didn't remember the pictures. I didn't always get all the pictures because it wasn't
Right.
always fun for me. I'd be like, "What are y'all doing, knuckleheads?" But no, it's so awesome. Good.
Nonsense. That's what they're doing.
That is great. Well, listen, I'm not going to cut this short by saying anything less than what I said in the beginning. I am a fan of yours. It's one of those things, and we'll have chats back and forth, and you'll say something, you'll did something, or you'll do something. And it's very funny to me how the student becomes the teacher, and you had said something about inspiring, and I found it to be interesting that at some point in time, and I'm not sure what you if you bumped your head that I inspired you to be something, and
All
and
the
that
time.
I truly am honored to hear that, right? But at the end of the day, I'm here as a fan. As you do things, you're a lot of the reason why I came back into the podcasting world, watching you do it and having success at doing it and making an impact. Because at the end of the day, for me, that's what this is about. I mean, it's about impacting people to help them move the needle through transition. And so where I may have once inspired you, you consistently inspire me to do all these things. And man, I'm a fan. I hope all of you have become a fan and follow him because he's really doing things to not just sitting there talking about it. He is actually physically doing them. And if you hear him say something, best believe it's coming. So before we wrap up, any last words you want to give or say before you head out?
Yeah, just whatever you're going through, like whether you're a veteran or someone else who's listening to this, like again, seek help. You know, like you're important, but also feel inspired. Like you can do anything you want to do, right? Like if you can't find it, then you can be it, right? Like that. So that's why I always try to push to people. Like, there weren't a lot of people in the space. I found some. Like you're gonna find someone, right? Find that person, and like again, Jeff inspired me. He's part of my network. Like all this stuff is because of Jeff pulling me out of the parking lot and saving me from the desert. Uh, but yeah, just and if you cannot find that mentor, then hit me up. You can find me at ryanwilliamssenior.com. So that's where I keep all of my stuff. So they'll have links to all the RAM stuff, the book stuff, the podcast stuff, like all of my projects and media. So ryanwilliamssenior.com, hit me up and I can find you someone or I can answer your questions.
That's outstanding, man. Thank you again for everything. We appreciate you. And for all y'all folks out there, that's a wrap. We'll see you next time on the other side.